Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about the differences between narcissistic personality disorder and emotional immaturity. Now, I have experienced narcissistic abuse. I have been in 2 narcissistically abusive relationships in my past. All narcissists are emotionally immature, but not all emotionally immature individuals are narcissists. Narcissistic personality disorder is a severe and pervasive psychological disorder characterized by excessive self-importance. They are manipulative. They are exploitative. They exploit people. They have an excessive need for attention, admiration, and validation. They crave power and control. They need narcissistic supply. Those are just some of the traits and characteristics of a narcissist. Of course, there's many other traits. These are just some of the traits. Now, the difference between a narcissist and someone who is emotionally immature. Narcissists, they are abusive. They are abusive. They crave power and control over people. They rarely take accountability. They will go to therapy, but they only go to therapy to manipulate people and to become better narcissists. So a narcissist is capable of changing, but the problem is they are resistant to changing. They do not feel that they have a problem. And because they rarely take accountability for their actions, they blame other people, they're just not going to change. For a narcissist to change, it will require long-term therapy and self-awareness. Narcissists lack self-awareness. Now, a relationship with a narcissist is soul crushing. It is isolating. It is debilitating. They break your spirit. You will need therapy. A relationship with a narcissist will affect your mental health. You will be depressed. I dealt with depression. I was depressed for many years. In fact, my last relationship with my ex, I became depressed months after I allowed him in my life, after I got into a relationship with him. I'm not going to get into the details of that, but I started becoming depressed. And so when you're dealing with someone who is emotionally immature, emotionally immaturity is a lack of emotional intelligence. So essentially, someone who is emotionally immature, they lack emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is crucial for healthy relationships. You cannot have a healthy relationship with someone who lacks emotional intelligence. Now, someone who is emotionally immature, they have a hard time managing their emotions. So what has happened, they are deficient in their emotional development. There has been a delay in their emotional development. And because there has been a delay in their emotional development, they have poor coping skills. They have poor communication skills. They have poor emotional regulation. They don't take accountability for their actions. They shut down because they don't know how to handle or deal with conflict or stressful situations. So oftentimes they will give their partner the silent treatment. And so there are similarities between narcissistic personality disorder and emotional immaturity, such as a lack of accountability, selfishness, self-centeredness, a lack of empathy. But with someone who is emotionally immature, a relationship with them, it's not damaging like it is with a narcissist. Narcissists do a lot of damage. They do significant damage. After a relationship with a narcissist, narcissists discard people. They use and abuse people. They discard people. After a relationship with a narcissist, you are going to need serious therapy, long-term therapy. You're going to be depressed. Your self-esteem, they break down your self-esteem. They break you down. They break your spirit. They destroy you emotionally. You are going to be a shell of your former self. You're not going to be the same person after a relationship with a narcissist. That is how damaging and soul crushing a relationship with a narcissist is. Now, a relationship with someone who is emotionally immature, although someone who is emotionally immature, it's going to put a strain on relationships. The relationship is going to be more frustrating and exhausting versus a relationship with a narcissist is soul crushing. A relationship with someone who is emotionally immature is not going to be soul crushing. They're not going to break your spirit. It's just going to be more frustrating and more exhausting because they don't communicate. They shut down during stressful situations, and because they don't know how to handle, they don't know how to process their emotions. They don't know how to, they have poor coping skills, poor communication skills. They don't know how to regulate their emotions. They might become emotional eaters. They might turn to drugs or alcohol because they cannot handle conflict and they don't know how to communicate. And so a relationship with someone like this is going to be hard. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be exhausting. It's going to be frustrating. But with someone who is emotionally immature, they are more capable of becoming self-aware and becoming emotionally intelligent and emotionally mature versus a narcissist. It's slim to none that they are going to change. You cannot make a narcissist change. You cannot make someone who is emotionally immature change. But the likelihood of someone who, there's a higher chance of someone who is emotionally immature to change and get themselves into therapy. It will require them to become self-aware. It will require long-term therapy. And if you are in a relationship with someone who is emotionally immature, you can give them grace. If they are willing to do the work, if you see improvement, then this is a relationship that can work out and become more emotionally more healthy. Now, someone who is emotionally immature, the reason why they struggle in relationships is because of their emotional immaturity. Narcissists struggle in relationships. You cannot have a healthy relationship with someone who is a narcissist. Now, someone who is emotionally immature, they are emotionally unstable. They are emotionally unhealthy. Both someone who is emotionally immature and someone who is narcissistic, they are not healthy. And so you cannot have a healthy relationship with someone who is emotionally immature and someone who is a narcissist. Although they are capable of changing, because a narcissist rarely takes accountability for their actions. They love playing the victim. People who are emotionally immature, they love playing the victim too. They don't take accountability. Those are just some of the similarities. But there is a significant difference between the two. Okay? And the difference between the two is that someone who is emotionally immature, they struggle with managing their emotions. They have poor coping skills, poor communication skills. There has been a delay in their emotional development. And oftentimes it happens in their childhood. And there's so many different things that can cause someone to become emotionally immature. Whether they experience abuse in their childhood, maybe they didn't have a parent to model healthy emotional maturity to them. I'm not going to get into that. But individuals who are emotionally immature, they can become more emotionally mature. They can become emotionally intelligent. Whereas someone who is a narcissist, the likelihood of them changing is slim to none. So this is the reason why I say that if you are in a relationship with a narcissist, it is best to go no contact, walk away. If you got narcissistic family members, they're rarely going to change. They're never going to change. I have a narcissistic mother. I am no contact with her. I'm a little over 2 months no contact with her. I do both low and no contact with her. I will visit her again in 2027. I'm skipping 2026. So narcissists rarely change. They are capable of changing, but they rarely change. Someone who is emotionally immature, they can change. They are more capable. It's gonna be a relationship with someone who is emotionally immature. It's not going to be easy. Getting someone who is emotionally immature to change is not going to be easy either. You cannot make them change. You can encourage them, but you cannot make them. They have to become self-aware. It will require long-term therapy. Relationships with someone who is emotionally immature is more exhausting and frustrating versus a relationship with a narcissist. It is so crushing. It is debilitating. They break you down. They break your spirit. You will have mental health issues after a relationship, after it's all said and done. They discard people. Okay? So I don't want to make this video too long. These are just some of the differences between narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, and emotional immaturity. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next upload.